Hi friends, it's Annie Grace, author of This Naked Mind, and I have the new book with me coming out January 2nd. But I wanted to give you guys 3 tips to get through dry January with ease. So many people think about kind of giving up alcohol for the month of January, and people do it for different reasons. They do it to donate to charity, people do it to lose a few pounds, to kind of get their health or vibrancy back, to detoxify, to start the year off right, to get more done in January. So there's so many amazing motivations. But one of the things about dry January that can be really difficult is that when you go into something and you feel nervous, you feel afraid, you feel like, oh, it's going to kind of suck, that tends to be what happens. So I want to jump right into tip number 1. Tip number 1 is kind of an age-old truth, and it's that your inner reality creates your outer reality. So if you go into dry January thinking, I'm gonna get through it, you're gonna get through it, and it might be okay, but it's probably not gonna be great. If you go into dry January thinking, this is gonna be miserable, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be miserable. And you might not know how you're gonna do it. But if you go into dry January with the perspective of like, okay, I'm gonna get a lot of really great things from this. Go into it with the perspective of what you're going to gain instead of what you're going to give up. Make a list of all the things you're excited about. Change your perception so that you're not going into it with this sense of foreboding or this sense of deprivation or this sense. Go into it with this sense of excitement. So you're going to sleep better. You know, your skin's going to look better. Your eyes are going to be brighter. You will probably lose weight. Most people lose weight. When I gave up alcohol for 31 days, I lost 13 pounds. It was absolutely crazy. You're going to have your mornings back. You're not going to have a single hangover. I mean, that alone is something to be really excited about, especially if you've been having, painful hangovers from the Christmas weekend or painful hangovers from New Year's Eve. So go into it thinking about what you're going to gain, not what you're going to give up. Make a list of the things that you're excited about. And even if you feel some nerves or some trepidation, understand that those are normal, but don't look at them as though it's going to be, the sentence, right? Because if you go to a party expecting to be miserable because you can't drink, you probably will. But if you go to a party saying, okay, this is going to be interesting. I haven't actually been to a party in a decade without drinking. I wonder what this is going to be like. And just go into it as an experimenter, observing what's happening. It can be a totally different experience. And chances are you could really surprise yourself with how much you might really, really enjoy things. So my second tip is the firmer your decision, the easier this will be. And so here's what I mean by that. Is that if you go into this saying, okay, I'm going to try to do this, it's going to be hard, it's 31 days, but I'm going to really try. Chances are, in cases like this, where we're talking about something that's addictive, alcohol is addictive, something that you probably have kind of if you feel emotionally attached to it. I know I did when I was drinking a lot. I certainly felt like, oh, I needed it to relax or I needed it to have a good time. There was certainly an emotional attachment there. If you go into a situation and think, I'm going to try not to drink, or maybe I won't drink, chances are you will probably drink. If you go into this situation thinking, no matter what, I'm going to take 31 days off, no matter what, this is going to happen, what happens is pretty incredible. Is you see your brain takes mental energy to make decisions. And it doesn't matter if those decisions are little decisions, like, okay, tonight's another night, but it's Friday, it's my first dry Friday, I don't know if I'm going to do it, am I going to drink, maybe I should just allow myself just one, but it is my friend's birthday. That kind of decision-making processing takes energy. One big decision, no matter what, January's off, I'm not going to drink, that's it. Everything is a no. It doesn't matter whose birthday it is, doesn't matter what party it is, doesn't matter what coworker or what business trip, I am not drinking for January. You make that decision, you put it away, and then you see the entire thing as an experiment. So even if it sucks, I'm just not going to drink. That decision's been made. You save yourself all of the mental energy of lots of little decisions. And when you become decision-making fatigued, there's a thing, it's called decision-making fatigue. You can be more likely to drink because it's quite stressful. And often when we're dealing with stress, we turn to a drink. So save yourself to the decision-making fatigue and make this easier for yourself by making one really firm decision. I'm going to do this. That's it. Equally, though, if something happens, don't beat yourself up. Just get back on the horse. I think far too often people say, oh, but then so often when you've been drinking all the time, you just forget. Like literally, you just forget. So somebody pours you something, it's in your hand, you take a sip and you say, oh, well, forget it. Then I'm just going to go ahead and drink for the rest of the night, or dry January's over. Who cares? So you had a sip. Don't worry about it. Even you had a beer. Don't worry about it. Just keep going and be really graceful with yourself. And so that's my second tip. My third tip, and this is probably the most important one, is that willpower is not the answer. You might be able to get through dry January on sheer force of will. Like there's a good chance that you can just white knuckle it and get through it, make the decision, do everything you can to just get through it. But if you do that, here's what's going to happen. At least I know for me, if I go on a diet, guess what sounds really good to me? French fries and ice cream. If I decide I'm not going to eat sugar, all I want is gummy bears. Often it's called the forbidden fruit syndrome. Something that we decide we can't have becomes the exact thing that we're fixated on. And that just is universally true. It's human nature. And so when you go into this thinking, okay, I'm just not going to have something that I want, you become really fixated on it. You feel deprived, you feel upset. And yeah, sure, you might be able to get through 31 days, but it's going to be 31 days of feeling deprived, feeling like something's missing, feeling upset. And guess what? February 1st, day 32, all of a sudden you've made alcohol more important in your life than it was on December 31st. So here's the thing about that, is you're probably taking a dry January because you kind of want alcohol to be less important overall. Maybe you want to drink less overall, or less in 2018 than you did in 2017. No matter what your goals are, they probably aren't to make alcohol more important as of February 1st and to have the worst hangover ever on February 2nd. So what I suggest is what you need to do is you need to get out of the willpower game altogether. So how in the world do you do that? Well, how you do it is you change your thinking around drinking. So you examine the reasons that you drink. And what I would do is I would do two things. Not only make a list of everything you're going to gain from tip number one, but then make a list for yourself of all the reasons that you drink. Like what are the reasons you give yourself? You drink to relax, you drink to network, maybe for social anxiety. A lot of people drink to sleep better at night. All of these reasons, and then give yourself one reason a day or one reason a week and just explore if it's true. And there's a really easy way to do this. You can ask yourself a few questions, right? You can say, first of all, where did this idea come from, right? So if we take something like, I drink to have a good time, or I drink to relax. Where did I drink to relax come from? It probably came from happy hour. Everybody's hard day at work. They're drinking to relax, probably some television in there, the homicide detective popping the beer. Where did this idea come from? So understand where it came from and then say, is this true, both internally and externally? So internally, say, okay, I drink to relax. Do I feel more relaxed after a drink? Yeah, it numbs me a little bit. I feel a little bit looser, more relaxed. Do I feel more relaxed after 3 drinks? No, I don't know. Do I feel more relaxed the next day after drinking, or do I feel less relaxed? And then what is relaxation exactly? Like relaxation is removing the source of discomfort. So if I actually remove the source of discomfort with alcohol, and if you guide yourself through these questions, all of a sudden you say internally, I don't know that drinking to relax is such a good reason anymore. And then the real power is when you look at it externally and you say, is alcohol something that actually physiologically, neurologically relaxes me? And so that's a quick Google search and you can see that what does alcohol do? Well, sure, it numbs you at first, but then it releases these chemicals into your body because your body's trying to balance it, like adrenaline and cortisol. And those hormones are not relaxing. They're the opposite of relaxing. And is a hangover relaxing, or do you spend the whole day trying to catch up because you've slept too long and, maybe the kids are screaming or you're late for work? That's not relaxing. And so when you start to examine these core beliefs you had, you don't need willpower because suddenly you're not using your will to not take a drink that you believe will relax you. You've changed your thinking around that drink. And suddenly you're looking at that drink and saying, you know what I think would be more relaxing is a cup of tea, or, a tonic and lime, or an iced tea. And so suddenly you aren't in the willpower game at all. So anyway, those are my top 3 tips, okay? So just to recap quickly, they are, number 1, your inner reality creates your outer reality. No matter what, your perception becomes your reality. So if you go into this believing you're going to be miserable, you will be miserable. Don't. Go into it imagining everything that you have stand to gain. You can change your entire precept around alcohol. You can change your thinking. You can gain some health. You can really detoxify. You can lose some weight. You can look great. Think about what you have to gain. Focus on that. That will change everything. Just that one tip. Number 2, the firmer your decision is, the easier it will be. If you try at this, you're setting yourself up for a month of trying, a month of this circular thought about drinking. Is tonight the night I'm going to drink? Should I just have one? Should I have one next week? Oh, this event's coming up, that event's coming up. If you try, you're setting yourself up for a month of trying. Don't try. Do this. But equally, if something happens, be graceful with yourself. Get back on the horse. And number 3, willpower is not the answer. Get out of the willpower game altogether. You can do that through the process that I described in this video, or shameless plug, you can order my new book coming out January 2nd. And this book, that's exactly what it does. It goes through every single reason you drink, and it takes you through that exact process. Where did it come from? How did it come into your mind to be? And is it true? Internally, is it true? Does it make you actually feel true? I guide you through a series of questions. And then the kicker is I put all the research in, all the evidence. Externally, is it true? Does alcohol improve your sex life? Is that true externally? Or does it decrease testosterone levels in men and make women less sensitive? I don't know. Got to read the book. But anyway, all the reasons that these things could or couldn't be true are in the book. And so it really unwinds it. And this book will take willpower completely out of the game. Anyway, shameless plug is over. No matter what, I hope you have a very successful dry January. I think it's such a worthwhile thing to try because it doesn't mean that you're quitting drinking. It doesn't mean that you have a problem. All it means is that you're taking a mindful look at your relationship with alcohol. You're interrupting your patterns. You're giving yourself the chance to see what things would be like alcohol-free, and you're allowing yourself the chance to be hopefully pleasantly surprised, because a lot of things are actually better when you're not numbing your emotions or your body. So anyway, Annie Grace signing off. I hope you have a wonderful January, and leave me a comment below. Thanks.